Okay, I can edit this out later too. So, and by edit out, I mean never edit out. So, because I just haven't figured.
Leave it all in. It's all good.
Oh, good. All
It's
right.
all classic stuff.
Hello and welcome to Research and Destroy, a new show where we talk about one topic ad nauseum. I am your host, Bill Carriola, and as you can see, I am by myself today because my guest is actually in another state. I want to welcome the host of DVD Bunker and former Fan Friction champion, Brian Hurst. Brian, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Bill. I appreciate the chance to christen this new venture with you here.
Yeah, all right. So the topic today, for anybody who doesn't know, we're going to be talking about, at length, the Child's Play series. Now, what is it about, what drew you to want this to be the topic? When I brought this up to you, I'm like, hey, I know you've been watching these. I think this would be a good topic for a show. What is it about the series as a whole that, draws you in?
I have a really long history, actually, with this series. Long before I was old enough to watch it, I had a cousin who was about 2 years older than me, and I remember him in detail explaining the very first kill in the first Child's Play, the death of the babysitter, where he hits her with the hammer and she goes out the window and falls through the truck. And he was probably 8, 9, 10, so I was probably 6 or 7. So I had a real, I got it real early, and then I probably saw it. Not too long after that, way earlier than I should have seen it. Probably by the time the third one was coming out, I had already seen the first two.
Yeah.
So in fairly quick succession, and this was definitely one that actually had an effect on me.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I didn't have many nightmares from movies, but I had nightmares about Chucky. And, I had stuffed animals on my bed, and I would, say goodnight to all of them and make sure I was equally respectful of all of them in case one of them came to life. I didn't want to be upset or have hurt feelings.
Yeah.
So I'd be like, good night, dog, good night, whatever.
All right, yeah.
So this series is really ingrained in me. I've really, grown up with the Child's Play franchise. As far as, why I stayed with it and what kept me with it was, its progression and its growth and its kind of self-acknowledgement of the changing times and stuff. And I think it's really a strong candidate for top-end horror franchises.
Yeah. All right. So let's go back to the beginning. We're going to look at Child's Play 1. So funny enough, directed by Tom Holland. Not that one. So Tom Holland.
Tom's parents weren't even born when this movie came out.
No. So different Tom Holland. So funny enough, this Tom Holland was actually the director of a very similar in tone movie where it's a younger person, teenager, not teenager kid, who sees some kind of supernatural thing, but no one else believes him in Fright Night. So. Yeah, so Tom Holland did that in Fright Night and did Child's Play, and kind of brings a lot of the similar tone to it. And I think he was saying Chris Sarandon. That's why he is actually in both movies, because he became good friends, and Tom Holland wanted to bring him in.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So we open up with this movie, and it's funny, because to prep for this, I actually went back and started the whole thing and watched some of the movies that I haven't seen. I never saw a seed of Chucky, and I didn't see the last two. So pretty much, I think Bride of Chucky, and then I stopped watching. So I went back and started watching these again, and it's amazing how the first one is still really good, but I think it's more serious in tone to the other two. The other two are almost a little more almost dark comedy-ish. But this one is really playing it straight for the most part, considering it's dealing with a living voodoo doll. And
Chucky definitely still has attitude in the first one, but he's way less quippy. You know what I mean? He's sassy, but he doesn't give that. He doesn't have the one-liners. I mean, they never took Chucky. I don't want to say never. In the original trilogy, they never took Chucky into like Freddy territory where he got really silly.
Yeah.
But he did definitely get a little more jokey as the sequels went on, even in those first three.
Yeah. But funny enough, it's also now while researching, I found out the Don Mancini has written every one of these movies from start to finish. Now, oddly enough, this movie is the only one where he actually wrote it in conjunction with like another person, because it was based off like he came up with the story, but Tom Holland and another guy, John Lafia, they ended up like trying to tool the screenplay, because I think originally, and they had a much more like the idea they were going to go with was a little different. I'm going to pull it up. So here's what's funny: the original working title for Child's Play was Batteries Not Included. But once the movie came out, they're like, nope, I don't want to get Spielberg will sue us to forever. So, like, no way.
Scratch that one.
Yeah. God, where was it? So the idea.
Rightfully, though, that is one of the best scenes in the original Child's Play, where
the big reveal where
the battery and everything, yeah.
And then
that's one of my
head spins right around. Yeah. All right. Oh, so here it is.
That leads right into our first big Chucky reveal. Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
It's funny, like, watching. So, the interesting thing is, so I found out that, at least for the first couple movies, one, all three of them take course over the place of 3 days. So, it's a very quick timeline. But two, I found out.
Not the third one. The first two, maybe. The third one, he's older, right? That's what we're talking about.
It is years later, but the course of that film is 3 days.
I get you. That's what
Yeah.
you're saying.
Yeah. And I lost my train of thought, but
I'm good to help out with that.
No, it's fine. Yeah. Let's see. Originally, yeah. So here it was. So there was actually going to be a little more. They were going to hold off on the reveal a little bit more. So the idea was you weren't going to know if it was the kid or if it was Chucky or not. And they were going to drag that out a little bit. So when the reveal happened, when the mom's going to throw him in the fireplace, that's where you really find out for the first time this Chucky doll is alive and is a thing. Because before that, they were going to like shoot it in such a way where you weren't sure, like, it could be him or it could be the kid. But they...
I can see how that... You could see it that way.
Yeah.
But then when all the marketing is already like geared toward the fact that this is a movie about a killer doll, you walk in knowing, you know what I mean? Yeah. There's not like you'd have had to play up all the trailers. Would have had to be like a mystery style. The '80s were not good at mystery trailers. They would just flat out tell you the whole plot of the movie.
Yeah. It's funny looking back at old trailers now and seeing the like how completely different they are. I'm like, how did I get excited for movies? Like at least trailers that they almost tell kind of a story. Like my favorite example is go back and watch the trailer for Batman '89, and you're like, this is just dumb. It's just sporadic and chaotic and all over the place. Ugh. So fascinating thing I found out was all of Brad Dourif's lines for the movie, for most of them in the beginning, they were all recorded well in advance before they even filmed, to get the face on the doll to match whatever he was saying. So he was very rarely on set. For the first one, he was a little bit, just to, like the scene where he's in the hallway, he actually did a stand-in to give an idea, like, how he would be walking, like, just to give the people, like, something like the, like, more realistic reaction of how he would react to this. But for the most part, like, he was just never really around. So it was just, everything was recorded, and you could see it, like, especially in those earlier films, like, they really did a good job. Like, this is before they could do CGI cheating. And they nailed it.
The Child's Play movies is really good. Great use of puppets, and also excellent use of a little person in a suit a couple times. I will say, I think that's one of the few knocks on the whole series is in Curse of Chucky. They do delve into a little CGI, and I'm glad they got away from that again in Cult. I mean, I'm sure we're going to get around to talking about those, but that's one of those things that, like, Chucky should always be a puppet. You know what I mean? 100% of the time, because he's a living doll. So when you make him CGI, you know what I mean? You've undone the whole thing. Like, Chucky's the perfect character to be a puppet all the time because he's supposed to look like that. So, yeah, I would say that's the one little fault I would say there. But, yeah, I love the puppeteering, the face on Chucky, and the way he, in the first one especially, the thing of the doll getting more human as the movie goes on.
Yeah.
So by the time you get to the end, he really kind of looks like a little person.
Yeah.
You know, he's starting to get like more wrinkles and more like his facial hair is more realistic.
And I swear to God, it's some. I don't know if it was in that one or other one. It almost looks like he's going like his hair is like changing and going balder like as the movie goes on, and it's just like
it's receding. Yeah, like Predator is.
Right. Like it's really super subtle, and so here it was. So the first draft of this, Chucky was Buddy. And he came to life after mixing blood with Andy and killed those that were going against Andy. Like, he would go after, like... So it was like a manifestation of Andy's loneliness and isolation from his overworked mother. And then it got retooled a little bit. So that was the initial... The original idea they were going to have before. I guess they brought somebody in and they retooled the script. And I guess... yeah, so... I just always thought that would have been a weird way to go, like the mixing of like blood with like the kid and the killer, and then it goes into a doll, and then it becomes like almost an extension of his like darker psyche, which I could see how most of that.
One,
yeah. I don't know. I don't know how that would have worked as an all over film though. Like it would have been a little. I don't think we would have this series today if it had ended up staying that way. So, yeah, yeah. Although I got to admit, and Chris Sarandon was I really did like just like him and Catherine Hicks played well off each other in this, and the scene in the car where it's like and Chucky's like running around and like you like it's like really tense and really well done. Oh my God. And it's funny too. That and him.
Right, the movie takes this one real seriously. The first one, like, and they're treating it like a real movie. It doesn't feel like the beginning of a slasher franchise. It's
right.
You know, Captain Hicks and Chris Sarandon and everybody, and all the other his cop buddy. I love his partner. That guy cracks me up with his great '80s mustache and members only jacket or whatever.
Oh my God! And so much indoor smoking, like it's crazy. Yeah.
I like that they actually make use. I like that you could show this movie to kids today, and they'd be like, "Why did he have like a hot thing that came out of the plug in his car?" It's like nobody actually uses a cigarette lighter. That's the thing you use to charge your cell phone. That's what that is.
Oh my God! Wait, you had to get up and turn the TV to change the channel? Like, I think that's yeah. It's funny. Like going back over these, Oh yeah, those, especially those old cabinet ones. Jesus. Oh God. So, I would honestly say though, like going back over all of these, especially like of the first initial trilogy, I think this was probably like the weaker one out of the first three. Oddly enough, even though it got the whole ball rolling, I feel like I feel like the stories got just better and stronger in like 2 and 3.
I agree, actually. It's weird that, like, this isn't a franchise that people talk about like that, but it is a trilogy where the sequels are actually kind of improvements on the idea, and, like, the character got better. Like, the character of Chucky was really, like, opened up and became more of what we think of as Chucky now in the sequels, but not in a negative way, you know, not like where, like, I think the Freddy character was, like, is an example of something that was clearly diminished as the movies went on. I got some good redemption in New Nightmare, because God knows the New Nightmare's an amazing movie, but definitely there was like a slide there, and I don't think Chucky really. Think about they were smart. They leaned into it. They were self-aware enough to know when it was time to kind of. And I think they found some good ways to do it. But I definitely agree with you. I don't know how much you want to move ahead.
Yeah.
But the climax of 2. The climax of 2 in the doll factory is probably my favorite thing in the whole franchise.
Just, you know what?
So great.
One of my favorite... so, funny enough, going to 2, it's the shortest of all of them. 2 actually runs under 90 minutes. Yeah, it's real quick. Yeah.
There's a lot. It just clips right along.
So, funny enough, originally, now for 2, they were going to do a whole scene in the beginning. There was going to be a courtroom scene, them going through the trial of the mom and Andy being found insane. And Sarandon and Catherine Hicks were both actually going to come back to do it. But they ended up getting scrapped. But funny enough, Catherine Hicks was actually on set for the entirety of 2 because she was actually married to the guy who designed the Chucky doll. So they were married after meeting on the set of the first Child's Play in real life.
It's like, well, Catherine Hicks is around, but we wrote her off already, so no thanks.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. So, and I can't remember that guy's name. It's somewhere. It's buried in my notes somewhere of the guy's name. Yeah. Oh, well,
it's such a strange choice to make, to be like, we have access to Catherine Hicks, but let's not use her.
Yeah. Like, we have her! Like, she's already here! Like, we could literally do anything, and they just don't. Yeah.
Like, imagine the mom from Seventh Heaven. They could have totally Sarah Connored her out and made her this badass, like, doll-fighting machine. She could have been all crazy and, like, just obsessed with finding Chucky and stopping him and, like, saving her son and breaking out.
Yeah.
It could have been the T2 of Child's Play movies. I mean, I'm not sorry, because, like I said,
yeah.
I love Child's Play.
Yeah.
But
Kevin Yeager, that was the guy's name. Kevin Yeager is the guy who designed most of the Chucky dolls. So
he still works on the Child's Play movies, as far as I know.
To this day, he designed the Tiffany doll. He designed the Glenn or Glenda doll. So
he dies in Seed of Chucky. He has his own death scene in Seed of Chucky.
Yeah, right. Jesus. So I mean, like, good for him. So there's one scene, and you know, I honestly believe Brad Dourif doesn't get enough credit as an actor, because there's
incredible, one of the best working character actors maybe ever.
Yeah,
so good.
I mean, if your first time to the plate is like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, you goddamn did something right. Good for you.
Yeah, Mississippi Burning on there too, and I mean, even like in Lord of the Rings, he's so versatile.
Yeah.
If you need a guy to play a creep, Brad Dourif.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, but there's this one part in the movie where Andy's at school, Chucky's there with him, and he manages to trick him into the closet and locks him up, and him just yelling at him, just the menace that comes out of his voice in that scene, it still just freaks me out. Like, it sounds like God is pissed, and you need to, like, you effed up real bad. It's just almost primal throaty, like, get back here, and I'm weakly doing it, but like it is crazy.
No, I know exactly. Like, I can hear it when you're talking about it. He does, like, there's a couple times he gets into that really throaty, like, yell throughout the series, and Brad Dourif's a great actor, but he brings a lot. I think iconic without Brad Dourif behind him. You know what I mean? Like, another voice actor might have been fine, but I don't think he'd have been the same. As, you know, we wouldn't have, I don't think Chucky would still be going on today. It's series, it needs all these parts to stay together, and Brad Dourif and Don Mancini and Kevin Yeager have all been part of it from the very beginning, and that's why it's still strong, because the people who have love for it have stayed, and there's been times where they had to wait to do it right, and like they didn't rush, and they didn't push it, and then that's, you know what I mean, there's just a lot of people who work, there's a lot of love poured into this franchise for the people who work on it, you know?
Yeah. Now, as far as the second one goes, it does a pretty good job of almost picking up right away. So, funny enough, this one,
I love the way they bring back Chucky. I love that aspect of both 2 and 3.
Like, why rebuild him? Like, he's dead. Like, are you this stupid?
They literally scrape the burned flesh off the dummy and just like, yep, that's good. Put a new plastic face over it.
Oh, you got electrocuted building it? You know what? You just shove it up your ass, take it home. It's fine.
He's got the Frankenstein, right? He gets the Frankenstein opening when he comes back.
God.
Friday the 13th Part 6 also, right? Electricity, we know, can bring mystical dead things back to life.
Two things we knew in the 80s. Reagan was a terrible president, and electricity could bring anything back from the dead. That is it. Those are our two. Those are our diamond absolutes. So
That's right. Once the 80s, that always comes up on the screen during the opening.
You know, it's funny. I just watched. So did you watch Stranger Things? I'm sure.
I haven't watched it yet.
Okay.
I watched season 2.
All right. So it's pretty well known. I'm a huge Mystery Science Theater fan, and there's this one episode of this show, Hobgoblins, and it's a shitty 80s movie, and I love it because it's just pure garbage. And there's this scene where it's like some of the 30-year-old teenagers, they put on this record, and it's this really god-awful synth pop, and they're doing all this weird dancing, and then the Mike Nelson starts singing over the top of it, and it's one of my favorite jokes ever. And every time I see anything 80s related, it starts on a loop in my head. And you just see Mike Nelson go like, "It's the 80s, do a lot of coke and vote for Ronald Reagan," and that is the 80s theme song in my head now forever. So I constantly so there's a bunch of people like in Stranger Things, and they have like Reagan Bush, and then the song starts and it's over. Oh God. Let's see here. So we have Andy going away. So we write the mom out completely for the second one, again, which doesn't make sense because she was there all the time. But whatever.
Yeah, accidents. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
I bet they saved money, I guess, because there's no real name actors in the sequels.
Yeah. Yeah. True. So he's sent to live in a foster home where we bring in the character of Alex. And of course, and then the whole thing starts up like almost immediately too. Like he's there like 5 seconds, and then everyone's dropping dead. Like,
yeah, Chucky doesn't waste any time. Like you said, these take place over the course of a series of nights. Andy gets there the first night. It's the second night that Kyle comes through the window and finds him tied to the bed, and then the third night is the factory. So it's that quick a succession.
Yeah. And then I like the fact that like we get them. Yeah, no, they're like, all right, we got lunch. Come on, like wrap this up. Let's get going, and we're done.
And he racks up a couple. Like he kills at least 4 or 5 people. Chucky does before he even gets to Andy. So I mean, he works.
Yeah. Then we go through the whole thing in the factory, and I love the bit where he finally has him. He has everything ready, goes through the chant, and then you waited too long.
Right. This is probably the last time in the series they adhere really closely to the voodoo part. A little bit in 3, but then it's kind of like taking a little more tongue-in-cheek past there. But I did like that. I love him with the knife hand dragging himself on the cart. That's such a great image. It's you know what I mean. Like I said, I think the end sequence in the doll factory, it's such a cool setting. Like I said, for us. And I think that's the thing that they carry into the third movie, too. I love the setting of the military school, like a cool idea, a cool place to set your third installment. So, yeah, I think the end of 2 is really great. And I love the way they destroy him, and I love the way they bring him back,
Yeah, so it's funny because I remember the part where he just comes out and he has all the different like limbs sticking out of him, and he's just like on fire, and he's melted. I was like, oh God, it's so gruesome.
In that final form, he really looks like a Cabbage Patch or a Garbage Pail Kid when they've dumped all the hot like latex over him. He's all like face is all melted. Then they stick the air hose in his mouth and blow his head up. He really looks like a Garbage Pail Kid in those last couple moments.
Oh yeah, he really goes to the ringer. It's pretty brutal. So, yeah. So, funny enough, so I was reading it, so I wanted to actually double back over this. So, the first Child's Play was put up by MGM, and it did pretty well, but they got so much negative press, I think just because of the nature of the movie. So, interesting little tidbit.
Anytime you, center a murder movie around kids, especially back then.
Yeah. So, the Chucky doll, the inspiration for it was the My Buddy doll, as we all know.
And you said that they had originally thought to call him Buddy, right?
Yep.
I'm sure that was part of the problem.
Yeah, so funny enough, not too long after the first Child's Play came out, they stopped making My Buddy dolls forever.
Really? it didn't last much longer, huh?
It killed the brand. Yeah, they were like, we can't get away from this now. Everyone thinks it's like, this. So it just, sales plummeted and they just shuttered it up and stopped forever.
They should have just taken every My Buddy and put a red wig on it and made it a Chucky doll. They probably have been fine. They probably made their money back.
They would have made, yeah, I would think, you make natural allies. They're going to keep making those movies. You have all these doll parts laying around. Put it to good use. Why not?
Jump on that bandwagon, son.
Yeah. So Universal picks up the option for the rest of the way, at least for the theatrical releases. So of the first one being 2. Now, 2 actually opened at number 1, made a ton of money, and so Universal rushed production for 3. So 2 and 3 come out 9 months apart from each other. It's that quick. Before they even put out 2, they were already all right, start writing 3. And Mancini actually...
I was still having nightmares from having seen 2 by the time 3 was coming out. I literally remember seeing a trailer for 3 and looking at my dad and being like, oh, that's a movie I'm not going to want to see, right? Because of all my horrible nightmares. And then, of course, I ended up seeing it anyway.
Yeah,
because 80s parents didn't give a fuck. They didn't care about us at all.
Yeah.
I heard people, speaking of Stranger Things, people are like, millennials are like, oh, they'd never be allowed out that long. Why aren't their parents checking on them? You don't understand. The parents were like, don't come home till the street lights come on. Stay out. I don't care where you are. Just come back when you're done.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of free reign for us back then. Yeah, there really was. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So let's see here. So 3 hits. And in an interview, Don Mancini had actually even said this is his least favorite one because he felt like it was completely out of ideas and he didn't know what to do and just basically just jammed it out as fast as he could. And still came up with a fine movie.
I think this one is awesome. I love this one. It's it's one of those series when I watch it, it's there's a couple times when I'm like, is this my favorite one? What's my favorite? Which one of these do I like the best? Because I really love some of the stuff. I love the dynamic they build in the actual military school. I like the characters. I like the kill. That's one thing they always are really creative with the kills. The whole thing with Chucky switching out the paint for the real bullets is crazy. That is one of the most sadistic things.
Well, not only that, especially considering he only does it for one of the teams.
For one team, he does it for the red team, so that even if you shot somebody and you'd see the red, you might still not make the connection right away because you're expecting to see your red paint hit this guy. Love that. I love that the kid, fucking Captain America's onto that grenade. That's such a great moment too. I even like the casting of the older Andy. I thought they did a fair job of aging up. That seemed like a reasonable Andy.
So here's what's funny. Because in the original Child's Play, Andy is supposed to be 6 years old. So if he's 16 in the movie, and they actually did the math on this, that means this movie, Child's Play 3, takes place in 1998, 1 month before the start of Bride of Chucky.
Yeah, I want to say I was doing some of this too, and because then it's 5 years between Bride and Seed.
Yep.
But then I think they reset the timeline in Curse of Chucky, and I want to say that is present day. So there's not much time between Seed and Curse either.
Yeah.
There's kind of a little.
Because it's funny.
I'm pretty sure they reset the timeline because I think there's an actual timestamp or a date on Curse of Chucky.
Yeah.
And then from there we're back to regular. So I think they caught up again with with these last couple.
Yeah.
It definitely took a time jump into the 90s. They were way ahead.
Yeah. So I just thought that was funny, and they did the math, and they even made sure that matched up. They're like, yeah, no, it's so. Believe it or not, that whole movie is taking place 1 month after. So basically, Bride of Chucky takes place a month after Child's Play 3. So that's why he's basically they try to match up as best they could, him being in the pieces that he's in. That's why he's sewn together, and because there's a line of dialogue where Jennifer Tilly says, "It took me 10 years to find you," and it's like almost 10 years later to the day. Yeah, so yeah. But I just go back over 3 real quick. So funny enough, John Ritter was actually originally supposed to appear as the security guard of the Good Guy Doll Factory in the beginning, where the kids sneak in and discuss the Chucky myth. But he, through a scheduling conflict, couldn't make it. So they ended up putting him in Bride of Chucky as like as a makeup. So I just yeah.
He's got a great role in Bride, though. He's such an asshole. It's like so against character for the way you usually see him.
Oh yeah, but he does it. He does it so well, and it was funny. Like when I turned that on, and I'm just like, oh, that kind of made me sad. It's like anytime I see like John Candy, I'm like, oh, that's depressing. Oh, you got to be kidding me.
When we're recording this, I saw that today was supposed to be John Candy's birthday. He would have been like 67. He's been gone for over 20 years. I was like, oh, that's sad every time. Like, why do you got it? Why?
It breaks my heart. It really does. So, but then I was like, oh, and then the worst part was like I watched it like a little further. You get into Bride of Chucky, and then where Jennifer Tilly goes home, and there's Alexis Arquette, who actually died not too long ago. And I was like, oh, right. Jesus.
Yeah, absolutely. I love him in that too.
Oh my God! Like, oh God, he's like, hey, hey, here you go. Here's a photo. Who's like, what's this? You mean who's this? Who's this? You mean who was it?
Yeah, great.
Oh my God. Oh man. But I will admit though, one scene in 3, because I actually never saw 3 until I watched it for this, so 3 was pretty fresh for me. It's the haircut scene where the crazy general, he's like, grab the dolls, like, that's not regulation. They're like, you're fucking weird.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's the dude from Hellraiser, right? Like,
yeah. Oh God, but it's just it's the only thing that feels really out of place. Where I'm like, yeah, well, come on now.
I want to think that there's a not to jump ahead again, but there's a Chucky doll in the newest one in Cult of Chucky who has the bad haircut, who did get his hair cut off. And as I went back and rewatched the series again, I was like, oh, hey, they actually establish his, that he doesn't like his hair fucked with in 3, and so that comes back into play in Cult of Chucky. So I was like, all right, this series is super tight, by the way. Like, you can really tell that one writer has worked through this whole series. The continuity is really strong.
Yeah, it is like it's like borderline Venture Brothers, like crystal clear, like continuity. Yeah. So that was it. Hold on, wait. There was something else. So funny enough, not only is this Don Mancini's least favorite film in the series, The Child's Play 3, but it was also Brad Dourif's least favorite movie in the series. So I think it was just like too far, and everything was rushed, and no one was happy. And they're just like,
I can see it just being a bad experience and not like having the time they wanted to work on it and do things like that. But as far as I'm concerned, if this is the worst product you put out,
yeah. So
that's fine. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
And,
so
I don't know. We'll talk rankings at the end, but this definitely wouldn't be in the bottom of my list. So
yeah. So funny enough, it had a budget of $13 million, and it only made like 20, which is still fine, but it was not what Universal wanted, which was why it took so many years until they came out. Like, it was like 7 years until Bride of Chucky happened.
8 years, right? Yeah.
So oddly enough,
the thing to remember in those ensuing years, though, is that Scream happened. Like, right in the center of that, the kind of horror revolution happened.
Oh, yeah.
When we got all the rebirths. We got Halloween H2O, and we got Bride of Chucky. And I think they were, like I said earlier, I think they were really smart with the idea of, like, how it was clear that you couldn't just go back and do the same thing. You had to have some new take on it because the horror audience had so, had grown and gotten so smart. And they were like, so they just leaned into it. And I really thought that was a smart idea. And they were like, no, we'll understand that it's a little silly, and we'll go ahead and like go into the horror comedy route. And I thought that was a really smart move for the franchise.
Yeah.
Before Bride of Chucky coming out, that there had already long since been the kind of like, oh, what's scary about a doll? Let's throw a blanket over him and kick him or whatever. Which also I would like to address. I always thought that Chucky had some kind of like voodoo, like Like, he had the leverage of a full-grown man, even though he was in a doll's body, because he's magic.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I don't think anybody ever takes into account.
Well, there was the whole scene in Bride of Chucky where it's him and it's Jennifer Tilly, and they somehow, in doll form, managed to pick up John Ritter and stuff him in a trunk. I don't think normal dolls just have, like, they don't have the bone density to even pull off something like that.
That's what I'm saying. So I always thought, like, it was a little, like, dismissive, especially when you take into account his knowledge of magics, to think that you could just so easily take on Chucky. Like, I think Chucky's an opportunity killer. He doesn't have a specific style that he adheres to. He just, like, interacts with you, and when a way to kill you presents itself, then he kills you in whatever way is most effective right in that moment. He's very creative.
Yeah.
And, like, I was kind of like, but like I said, coming out, that was already a cliche to make fun of Chucky being a doll, So I think they were smart to kind of, like I said, lean into it a little bit.
Yeah. So, funny enough, I was just looking at this. So, two things of interest. Jonathan Brandis was originally considered for the role of the older Andy Barclay. So I thought that would have been really weird.
Yeah, I could see him playing the older Andy.
Yeah. And
was older Andy supposed to come back in Bride too?
No, I don't think so. But
I didn't know if that was ever part of the plan.
Yeah. So even more bizarrely fascinating. The original director considered, but ended up not being able to pull it off for Child's Play 3 would have been Peter Jackson.
Nice.
Why couldn't that have happened? That would have been amazing.
And go head on over to the old Tough channel and check out my Frighteners review that I just threw up last week, because I love me some Frighteners. So Peter Jackson's take on Chucky, I think I would have been welcome. I would have welcomed it. I'd have been happy to take a peek at that.
I kind of want that movie to happen now. Like, I don't care what I have to do. Like, I gotta get I will give money from my own wallet. I want Peter Jackson to make a Chucky movie now.
Just do it.
Oh God. Well, anyway, so this underperforms, goes away for a little while, and then Mancini gets together with I'm gonna say the guy's name wrong, because I'm like that. Ronnie Yu, director of Freddy vs. Jason. So they come up with it, and it's funny you mention it, because if you look at the promotional, like the poster for Bride of Chucky, it's so clearly modeled after Scream, like with just like the silhouettes with the lettering and everything. And you know what? I loved watching this one again. This was so much fun. This is the most 90s thing I have seen in years. It is insane.
My favorite 90s things. I love the stereotypical gay best friend.
Mm-hmm.
It's great.
Oh my God! It was like the whole soundtrack is Rob Zombie and Monster Magnet. I was like, oh my good Lord, this is like crazy. It's just like alt rock heaven. Ugh.
But I like that you talk. I mean, obviously the promotion and stuff influenced by Scream, but I like that they took the opportunity to kind of like equate Chucky to a classic movie monster. They gave him the Frankenstein look, with stitching and everything, and then obviously the whole Bride of.
Yeah, so we basically.
That's a very smart and kind of fun.
Yeah. Because
much like the Universal monsters eventually kind of found their way into parody, they were kind of So there's a lot at play, I think, in this entry.
Yeah. I think this is definitely the one where Don Mancini realizes, like, this is number 4. Like, we know what we are at this point. It's, like, completely self-aware. Like, there's just jabs in it about the movie itself, about what's going on. I love the little Pinhead reference that they throw in there. That was the... Yeah. No, there was this one. There was the scene where the cop is walking through and you see all the display stuff, and it's just like Freddy's glove and like Jason's mask, and like it's all just like it is everywhere in this movie. They're just like, nah, this is what it is.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh my God.
And like I said, this entry brings Jennifer Tilly into the movies, and like now you can't, when you think of Chucky movies, you think Jennifer Tilly because she's just now like a staple of the series. But
Yeah,
You know,
so they basically
I think
retcon it
it's
to him
a
to
great
where he
part.
has a girlfriend. She searches for the doll. So now we're a month after the movie that actually came out 7 years previous, and we're going to start the whole thing over again. Oh my god! But it's so much fun. It just like the whole pinhead bit like always gets me every time where they oh man.
Yeah, and they add a couple more things into the continuity, and like I said, I think this is where they start to like voodoo stuff and use it for make use of it as a plot device a little bit more. But like they have to go find Charles Lee Ray's body now instead of like it had always been the first person you reveal yourself to is who you have to whose like body you have to overtake. That
Yeah.
was the rules in the first trilogy. Now there's like this you can get, and they'll kind of let you more free transfer and stuff. I'm fine with all that. Like, I don't care if you want to expand the mythology. I'm like, if that like ruins, if you're so hung up in your Chucky mythology that ruins it for you, like I can't imagine. But I'm sure there's somebody out there who has that. That's their hot take.
Yeah. No, that doesn't. But I'll tell you what does ruin it for me is the dolls fucking scene. Which apparently that whole thing was improvised right down to the dialogue. They just did it on the day, and they're just like, whatever.
That's yeah. It's pretty funny. I don't know, like farther. You know what I mean? Seed of Chucky goes farther. So it's like
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Although I
that's
do
like
love
mild
the
by comparison. It's quaint. It's
yeah
quaint by comparison.
yeah fair enough. I do love the one bit where they first kidnap like the couple. And they're explaining like what the hell's going on here. He's like, believe me, yeah, this. He's like, this sounds like a bad movie. He's like, believe me, if this were a movie, it would take 3 or 4 sequels to even do it justice. It's not
That's
crazy.
a great line. That's such a great little moment. I love that too.
Oh man, and I love it at the end. It's like his own undoing because they see through the whole thing. They're like, you should really tell her to like do the dishes. It's like, yeah, get in there, clean this shit up.
Yeah, but eventually, like they basically appeal to his, inner asshole misogynist.
Yeah.
So,
Pride every time gets it. He always does. So, and I really can't say enough good things about like Bride of Chuck. It is so hilarious. So the oh my god, that was the other thing.
perfect.
The
It
other
strikes the perfect tone for what it's trying to be. Like it is probably one of the better horror comedies of all time. Like it's really a strong contender, and I don't think it gets enough recognition in that respect of like the horror comedy because it's part of the mythos, the Chucky franchise. I don't think it ever gets separated out and looked at as a horror comedy in its own right.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Good one.
it's in the vein of Evil Dead. I'm not saying it's as good as Evil Dead, but I mean, it's definitely got a lot of good funny moments. I really can't discount it as a whole. But I forgot there was the other thing I was looking at. The another thing in the beginning is the crate from the Creepshow movie. Is actually one of the items in police lockup, and I was like, shit, that is awesome. They really there's a lot of just subtle. They're not subtle at all. The winks to the audience, and it's just it's really fun. It was just so nice to just see like cause usually with 4, it's gonna get like not to the point, not like parody, but where it's just like we get it. You're not doing anything fun anymore. This is kind of just, I feel like we're retreading everything. They're like, nope, give him a girlfriend. Let's just get fuck crazy with it. And she's going to even bring up to the point, like, you gotta be more creative. Like, come on, you're going to stab everybody. Like, no, we're gonna kill him. Now we're going to do this. Like, it's just...
Hey, she should have gone back and watched the other movie. Strangles people with yo-yos. He wraps the lady up with her sewing machine,
Although...
He killed the teacher with the ruler.
Oh, I still love... in 3 where he's getting ready to kill the superintendent of the military school, and the guy just fucking heart attack drops dead. Like, you gotta be goddamn kidding me.
Yeah, that is really another like version of expectation. That's what this whole franchise is great at that.
Yeah, but definitely the MVP for this one was definitely Jennifer Tilly. Them getting her, like putting her in this movie, like I really believe if it wasn't her and it was somebody else, I don't think it would have worked as well, and we might not have gotten the rest of the movies that we got. I honestly believe that. Like, she really nails the tone. And her and Brad Dourif, they're a perfect sound. They sound off each other really well. Oh God, it's so good. Just the whole scene, like, where he's like, they know he. No, wait, no. That's Seed. That's not Bride of Chucky. I'm getting them confused now. So, yeah. Anyway, I can't remember where I was going with that. So, which it happens. So, yeah. Let me see here. There was something else. No. Okay. Thought there. I think best kill in this movie is definitely the gay best friend who accidentally steps out into the truck. I really think, because it's just so, like, as soon as he hits the road, I'm like, he's gonna get fucking hit, and then it just happens. And we're like,
second favorite bus smash. First favorite has to go to Final Destination, though.
Yeesh. Yeah.
It's even more out of nowhere, and it's just a great. But I do really like this one too, because he really gets splattered.
Oh my God, it is brutal. Oh. So, okay. So, spoiler alert for a almost 20-year-old movie now. So, she gives birth at the end. And that sets up.
I remember seeing Bride of Chucky, and I was for sure this was one of those things that was like, if they ever make another Chucky movie, which they probably won't, this will be one of those things that just gets ignored, and we'll start with a new, fresh continuity, and they'll never come back to this child of Chucky baby thing. That'll be over. You know what I mean?
Nope! We open with the kid in the next movie, so he's already been alive for 5 years, and he's some kind of sideshow freak. Although, I gotta admit, the best joke, like, really one of the best jokes set up into the beginning, is where he looks at his wrist, and it's his made in Japan. He's like, alright, I know I'm Japanese, but that's all I have to go on.
That is like a Kung Pao level of joke.
Oh my God.
With it. That's a runner through the movie where he's like, they'll like hit that sting, that like samurai movie musical sting.
Oh.
They're like,
It's just the fact that, like, when he first meets him, he starts speaking in Japanese. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, that is a funny one. I agree.
Oh man. So then we get really weird in this one. I wasn't huge on this one. It's okay. Like, it's still fine.
Yeah, they talk about 3. I would say easily Seed is the weakest of the series as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
It's a little, unfortunately, it's a little too self-aware for its own good.
Yeah, I definitely think they didn't balance it well enough.
It's a little too gross out for its own humor, where it's not like horror. It's just like kind of like sex jokes. It just doesn't feel. It's like off. It's like off kilter. It doesn't feel quite right. Now, there's some stuff that's awesome about it. Yeah. I love that John Waters cameo. That John Waters death is incredible.
Just that is by far, that is all the money they spent on that effect. That was money well spent. As soon as like half his face starts melting, I'm like, oh, it just doesn't look good at all. I'm like, oh, they really nailed that one really well. Yeah.
I applaud the weirdness of actually bringing in the actress Jennifer Tilly, and kind of trying to possess her and making that part of it. Yeah. And I like the whole Glenn and Glenda tribute, the Ed Wood kind of aspect of it. That's a cool little idea. I like all that. But overall, the movie just doesn't really, like I said, it's definitely, for me, a lower, it's a dip, it's a valley.
It is, yeah. And it's, especially, I feel like it's a lot of different things they're trying to juggle by the end, and I just feel like it's too many cooks in the story, which is funny because it's Don Mancini again, and oddly enough, this is the first one he directed, and he's directed the rest since. So he's actually pulling writing, directing duties from here on out.
And I think if you look at the next 2, you can see where the studio was probably pushing for. There were studio notes from Bride and Chucky that were like, people really liked when Chucky was funny and the fucking.
Yeah.
So let's get more of both of that in this.
Yeah.
In this next one, and like, okay, because he wanted to direct it, and he had, he had to like get his foot in the door somehow. But I definitely think if you look at the next two, you get a better idea of what Don Mancini wanted to do with the franchise.
Well, funny enough, actually, what he wanted to do was after Seed, he took a lot of time. They were gonna actually do a reboot, but still get.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember hearing about that.
So it's funny enough, if you actually watch Curse of Chucky, thinking of it as a reboot. There's a lot of homages and like almost whole lifted scenes from the first movie with the elevator and the just the nature of him like spending most of the movie in complete. He doesn't talk for the first 45 minutes in Curse of Chucky.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
he is just dead silent.
What, I cannot tell you how excited I was though when it's revealed in Curse that it's not a reboot.
Yeah.
That reveal to me was so fucking great. I loved it. I was like, what? And she starts to peel away at the. Oh man, I was thrilled.
Yeah. And I gotta like. I love there's the setting of the house, and when we just start off in the beginning, and it's like. It's darkish, but like you can definitely see there's the house becomes blacker and blacker, like as the longer the timeline goes on, and just the spiraling out of control. And Brad Dourif's daughter in this nails it.
Yeah, again, another who has now become an equally after seeing Cult of Chucky, I've watched it twice now, has become an equally important addition to the franchise as Jennifer Tilly was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they have both brought, she has brought as much now to the franchise. So such a great addition and yeah, she's good in Curse.
So I think with this one, this is the first one. Like, so this didn't go. This was a direct home release. So I think this gave Mancini with a little more wiggle room and a little more control. And it really shows. Like, I definitely get a sense like he kind of wants to go back. He wants to make it a little darker. And this is, let's just face facts. This is like the friggin' sixth, seventh? This is what, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, like. Yeah, you shouldn't be getting better at 6. You should really be getting worse. Yeah. And this thing, like this series, is actually did a 180 and is on the way back up now. Like by the time we get to this one, this is like it blew my mind how good this was. I could not get over it. I was like blown away, just from start to finish. Just the tone, just the direction, just everybody in it. Everything was perfect.
Well written, lots of like interesting. The setup of the characters and it plays off that thing we talked about from the original that they never did, which is the idea that frame Andy.
Yeah.
That kind of that plays out a little bit in this one. Again, like you said, no expectations to come in and then just see like a marked improvement. Another shift in tone for the series where again they were like, okay, we can now not everybody's as cynical now. People are ready for their classic icons to be treated with respect now, and Chucky falls into that category, so we can go back to being scary again, and that's great.
Yeah.
They tied it into the first one too. I love the history of it, the way they tied back into Charles Lee Ray.
And then just, I got to admit though, the spoilers for anybody that hasn't seen this yet. When you are watching the backstory and the pregnant mother sitting there, and then you find out he's holding the knife to the stomach, and you find out he's the reason that and I can't remember her character, Nika, is in this wheelchair because he stabbed the mother, and it crippled her in the womb, and then that did not sit well with me at all. And it's like we threw away all the jokes, and he is menacing and awful again. And
it's like they want you to remember that Chucky's not a character. He's a bad guy. He's real bad.
Although I got to admit, I do like the one part, and I will give it this much. There's a scene in Seed where they're trying to like take over, and Chucky kind of like has a bit of a character growth where he's just like, no, you know what? I like being the doll. I want to be the doll from now on. Like I don't care anymore.
I was gonna
Like, why do I want to be a human?
I
Human
thought we
sucks.
skipped over it. But
Yeah.
100% agree. Where he's like, "I'm Chucky the Killer Doll, and I like it," or whatever. And I think that plays into the next couple movies where he's more accepting of like using his doll persona to like do what he wants to do.
Yeah. Oh man, because I love that we just open cold. There's nothing. It's just here's Nika, here's her mother. All of a sudden, package. Why are we getting this doll? I have no idea what's going on. And then we got to take the ride with him. So we don't know why he's there. We know he's there to kill them, but we don't know why. And just the way the whole thing plays out, it's
well kind of played out. Yeah, it's really well laid out, like mystery plot and stuff, and a lot of fun, death scenes in it, and a lot of great Chucky stuff. And like I said, the only one knock I would give it is that this is the one that I think leaned a little too heavily into CGI, and I really think that it's jarring. There's some very jarring moments when they go from the puppet to the CGI.
Yeah, like it definitely. There's definitely scenes where he's walking, and I can clearly tell him like that's a fake animated thing.
There'll be like puppet face, cut away to the little girl, cut back CGI Chucky face.
Right.
And it's a real noticeable. It's not bad. It's a good looking Chucky face, but it's different.
Yeah.
And it's noticeable. You know what I mean? And it takes you out for a second. And so I think
it does, but I'm also kind of glad that they didn't lean too much on it. Like I feel like they could have, but I'm really happy. Yeah.
Well, budgetarily, I'm sure it was a concern for that.
Well, budgetarily, but also at the same time, like. I mean, Chucky's the doll. I want to see the doll. You had years to perfect it, and you guys do a pretty good job. So I'm kind of glad. I feel like CGI, especially for her, just makes it lazy.
In Cult, they go back to all puppets. It's all puppets in Cult of Chucky, and I think it all looks great.
Yeah.
So.
Although I gotta give Curse of Chucky huge applause. Because in the after credit scene, we get adult Andy with the returning Alex Vincent. And I'm like...
I was going to say the real Andy, not a recast. It's not like, hey, this is Andy. No, they legitimately got Alex Vincent back.
Yeah, and then just like him, just like all of a sudden he gets out of the box and there he is with the gun. He's like, let's play, motherfucker. I was like, yes. And then we immediately, like, even though it's like a couple years apart, it's like they didn't drop a beat. We open up on the next one. And he's on a date, and he's like really super into the Second Amendment. And then you get to his house, just like nothing but guns, because he knows this fucking guy's gonna come back for him. And then he digs his head out of his like fucking vault. He's like, "All right, let's play," and just like torturing this doll head. Oh my god.
Andy's just so fucked up from what he went through that really the only thing he can relate to is this possessed doll's head that he tortures when he's not. You know what I mean?
No.
This is how I have to get my aggression out now.
Yeah.
That was an amazing moment because I too was like, okay, again, this series always leaves me wondering, gonna come back.
Yeah.
It ended with.
Well, yeah, it ended with
shotgun. Where are you gonna go from there? How are you gonna continue?
Yeah.
And God bless Don Mancini. He always finds a way to do it.
And I got to admit, especially because now we introduce multiple Chuckies in this movie, and what a great concept that is. Like, yeah, I can put my soul in anything I want, and here we go. And just like, all right, here we go. And now I got like 2 or 3 of us running around, and we're like, going to come after you one by one. Hi, Dr. Polaris. Why do you always seem to come and bother me when I'm in the middle of stuff? It's my cat, sorry. Yeah.
Oh, cats love to hang around. I also like the setting of, because Nika got convicted of the murders in Curse, so she's in an asylum now. But they moved her to a minimum security, but I love the idea of the feel, the very Cuckoo's Nest feel of it. You know what I mean? Like that, the kind of throwback to that. So that's a fun setting. And then again, like the idea of one thing, just a little bit, but I wish they would have played with a little more. Again, was the idea of is Chucky real? Because says something to Alex Vincent about it to Andy. Am I real or am I just in your head? And kind of like the doctor in the hospital is kind of like trying to tell these mental patients it's not real. I really would have liked to have seen that played out a little bit more.
Yeah,
but I think it's fine.
Yeah. Although the thing I do like is just like what a companion piece this is between Curse and Cult. Like in Curse, just as the more you go on, just the darker and uglier and like meaner it gets. Whereas we go to this one in the Insane Asylum, and it's just bright and snow and like
Yeah.
everything is desaturated and cold, and it just it's amazing like how like just it gets the tone of that and just what like a just an empty like just big bright, but everything is still at the same time just so somber and like just the life is out of everything.
Yeah, and like you said, again, the ever evolving world of Chucky, and now he can possess multiple bodies at the same time, and not just doll bodies, human bodies. So it makes him even more dangerous. You can never know if you've got him or not, if you're safe, you know. But I like that they gave Andy a bigger part. They actually made him a part of the movie, and he kind of comes, you know, he tries to evolve and tries to come to the rescue at the asylum that they're holding Nika at. But unfortunately, you know, and falls victim. It doesn't fall victim. I won't say falls victim, but like again, is like put in a position where he is looking like they're gonna pin the murders now on him.
Yeah,
you know he's kind of gonna be the Nika of this movie.
Oh my god! But then he sneaks the doll, like the gun in the Chucky doll, because they know that's the one he's gonna send at him. Oh my god!
Scene, I hate it. I hate to say it that it almost takes me out of the movie. The scene with the three Chuckies. But it's also maybe my favorite scene too. You know what I mean? Like those three Chuckies interacting is so funny, and the whole idea of like them deciding who gets to go after Andy, and the reason he gets picked is because of the haircut.
Like, oh no, yeah, you go, man. That's terrible. Yeah,
I love it. Like I said, it's almost a little too silly, but it's like Curse and Cole are way more serious in tone.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm okay with them just touching back on Seed and Bride a little bit, reminding us that he still jokes. He's still aware of how silly the fact that he's a living doll is.
Well, yeah, especially since like we bring back Jennifer Tilly, we bring back the Tiffany doll, where this movie is like this whole series. It's not ashamed of where it's been, and it embraces it, but at the same time, especially with the last two, it's really given it like it's kind of brought it back more. It's leaning more into the horror than it was the comedy. Like there are still like minor like jokes in it here and there, but as a whole,
it feels more like 2 and 3, where Chucky had a quip here and there, but was still very menacing.
Yes, yeah, and there is definitely scenes of just menace here. Like I was reading that the little girl in the Curse, she would actually like go and like hide. Because like the scenes with the doll just freaked her out, and it shows. Like oh man, I just this was so much fun. Just rewatching all these. Like I gotta say,
when you're comparing this series to other major horror franchises, your Halloweens, your Friday the 13th, Nightmare, all those. Looking at it as a whole, it's probably the most consistently good franchise.
Yeah,
It's definitely by far got the strongest continuity and the most care taken for the source material.
Yeah.
If you average out, because like it never necessarily hits the heights of like original Nightmare on Elm Street,
right?
Or original Halloween.
Yeah.
It never is quite that. But it also never hits the lows of a Freddy's Dead either. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's I think overall, But I think if you take the series as a whole, it's maybe the most consistent of the big brands.
Yeah. No, I would. Yeah. No, I hear what you're saying. God, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to go over these. So, wow, we've been talking for a while. I hope they do at least one more. I think they got at least one more in them. We didn't talk. I mean, I don't know how much you want to spoil the endings, but there is a tag on the very end of Cult of Chucky, just like there was on the end of Curse of Chucky. And now we bring back Alex from part 3.
Part 2.
Oh, right, part 2.
The
Yeah.
Sister, foster sister from 2.
Oh my god, it kind of makes me wonder like who else they could start to bring back. Like,
The kid, what's his name in the 3rd one, who's gonna be the new, his name.
give me a sec. Hold on, wait. I think I still have it up. So, you bear with me one second. I can pull that out. All right, let's see here. I know. I had all this ready to go, and then I thought, Tyler, the Tyler character we're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Like, still bring back Tyler. Oh, and speaking of come back, but the continuity is strong in this series as it is. Glenn and Glenda are still in existence. The little boy and little girl, they're 2 separate characters. So you could have an evil Glenda helping Jennifer Tilly, and then Glenn could show up to try to help the good guy. So you could actually split the family. So there's still room to grow in this series, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Never Universal, Don Mancini. I know you're watching this. Obviously, you would be. Never stop making Chucky movies.
Especially after after the last 2, like I'm really ready to see what else they got in store for this.
Don't worry about bringing. I don't care. Don't put them in the theater. I don't even care. Keep releasing them on DVD because you can use. Don't waste money marketing them to try to get or who doesn't give a fuck. Keep marketing them directly to the fans of the series, and that's who loves them, and that's who's going to keep you guys in business. Like, I love this series, and I think it's got enough of a fan base now that you can just keep it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd watch them. It's very strong.
Yeah.
It's very strong. The last 2 entries have been great.
Yeah, it's weird. They should be getting better at 6 and 7, and they really are, and they're knocking them out of the park. And it blows my mind. It really does.
Like I said, I'm a huge fan of the original trilogy.
Yeah.
I grew up with the original trilogy, and I still think they hold up really well. I think the first one is, like you said, a very just like kind of by the numbers, but it's got some really interesting ideas, and it's got some really cool stuff in it. I love, and something that he's never really gotten back to. When he uses the voodoo to kill the guy who taught him, when he has the voodoo doll and he breaks the guy's leg.
Oh, still to this day, that scene. Oh, God. Oh, just the sound of the bone. It just freaks me out every time. Oh, it's tough.
And he falls. It's so creepy. But, like, I would love to see a little bit of that come back. But it's just a series that has always been one step ahead of the game.
Yeah.
It always kind of knew what it was and was able to kind of keep ahead of the, and it's great, and I'm so happy for them. You know what I mean? I'm so happy that they are making good movies that are getting well received and stuff. That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh man, and especially with now him taking over the Nika, the girl in the wheelchair who can now walk because she's possessed by Crazy Chucky. You know what's funny? Like I gotta touch on this too. Like the scene in Cult where the doctor's clearly taking advantage of this girl, and he's clued into it, and then he's just like, God, people think I'm a dirtball. He's like, and I like that's the limit for him. He's like, I mean, I'll kill you, but like, you're disgusting. Oh my God. All right. So anyway, winding up, yeah, because we've been at it for a little while. So as far as the next movie, what's like? And I'll just ask with this: what's something you're really hoping we get with the next one? Because I'm sure at this point they're not done anytime soon. They're gonna roll with it. So.
Oh no, hell no! Keep it up, keep it up. No, like I said, I would love to see the return of Glenn and Glenda.
Yeah.
Like if you're gonna be the series that really adheres to the continuity, and you're gonna keep bringing back characters. I would like to see Billy Boyd play Glenn and Glenda.
Nice. Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
If you're gonna age. He might not be old enough because I guess Glenn and Glenda would probably only be like young teenagers, so he might be a little too old to do it. That's the only thing that might hold that back.
Yeah.
But I'd be into it anyway.
Okay. Yeah. Now.
Yeah, I think it's all leading up to the showdown between Fiona Dourif, Nika now fully embodying Charles Lee Ray,
yeah,
and Andy. Andy has to get out, and they have to have their final confrontation. That's really what it needs. I would be fine if they ended it with the next movie. You know, they don't have to keep going forever, I guess. Although I did just plead with them to keep going forever.
If they're going to be this good, why not keep going forever? Yeah.
I would be fine with that. You know what I mean? If they ended on a high note, I would be totally fine.
Yeah. So I guess the only other question is, now I know what you want from the next one. What is something you do not want for the next one?
I don't. You know what I don't want is I don't want them to fall too much back on the comedy. You know what I mean? I don't want them to get scared and go backwards, and I also don't want any kind of crossover.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Don't cross it over with any other like middling franchise or anything. You know what I mean? Don't do Chucky versus the Puppet Master or anything like that. Like.
Or Chucky and Doll Man take on the demonic toys.
Yeah, right. Although I don't hate the idea of Charles Lee Ray possessing the Blade and Hook puppet. You know, I don't hate that.
Yeah.
But now that I say it out loud, maybe I honestly, franchise get really wild and come back from it. So I kind of would be open to anything they want to show me. I would at least give it a chance.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Okay. All right. So anyway, I think we'll probably wrap up because we've been at it for a very long time. So before we go, is there anything you want to plug or anything you want to go? Now would be the time. So.
Oh, well, absolutely. Always. You can find me over on the Tough Channel here on YouTube, or where I do a show semi-regularly, sometimes weekly, sometimes bi-weekly, called the DVD Bunker, where I go through my DVD collection and look at movies that I've, sometimes not watched for decades, sometimes only seen one time, or sometimes I'm the only person who's seen them. And we just try to talk about them and look at them and see if they were worth my money. There's about episodes of that up now. We just did some Halloween ones, including the one I plugged earlier for The Frighteners, which is one of my all-time favorite Halloween movies that's not about Halloween. Mm-hmm. It's just very tonally on point for the holiday.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy it a lot. Find me on Twitter, at Hurstcules, spelled like Hercules, only with my last name, Hurst. I thought it was clever at the time. I don't know. It gets mixed reviews.
Yeah.
I like that. And also, DVD Bunker is on iTunes now. You can find us. So if you're into podcasts and you don't have time to necessarily sit and watch a video, but you'd like to listen, check us out on iTunes. We have our last 4 episodes up, but I plan on putting up the whole catalog, and it'll be longer, uncut versions. Usually the episode's about 30, 35 minutes. These will be probably closer to an hour because we talk and I hack it down. Yeah. And I cut out all the rude shit and all the hateful rhetoric. It would really be a right-wing Trump podcast if you heard the whole thing.
Wow. I don't know. Anyway, all right. Yeah. Wow.
I know that's not true. So
I know. It's fine. Yeah. We're okay. So okay. All right. Well, I'll. So when I do.
Viewership just plummeted.
Yeah, it's fine. You know what? I'll be impressed if somebody stuck around this long. So fair enough.
You know it too. When it gets to the plugs, people turn that shit off.
Yeah, it's fine. I could literally plug cancer. Get it? No one's gonna pay attention, so it's fine. I don't want anyone to get cancer. Let me just say that right now. You should never get cancer. So I hope you don't. So, and I feel like I gotta actually say that in this day and age. So it's fine.
But you actually made heroin? I don't want to say.
Yeah, I don't know.
Some people seem to really like it.
Anyway, all right. So I'll leave a link in the description for the video when I upload it on YouTube for everything we've mentioned. I am your host, Bill Cariola. I want to thank you for joining me. You can find the show on Twitter at DStory Research. If you want to give me any idea, if you want to be on or give me a topic, that'd be great. Anyway, take care for now, Internet. I'll talk to you later. All right. Thank you again, Brian, for coming on, and you have a good night. All right.
My pleasure. Thanks. Bye.
All right.
Complex life like robot, duplicate of myself. I'm not a complex life like robot.